Let's talk season 3 of The Umbrella Academy. Now, I personally wasn't expecting to make this video, but the more I thought about it, I was like, I really enjoyed this show, so I might as well share my thoughts with you all. For those who don't know, season 3 of The Umbrella Academy just came out, and I really loved the first 2 seasons of this show, so I thought, why not check out an episode while I eat my dinner? And as a result, I ended up watching the entire season straight through within the shortest amount of time possible. And unfortunately, as a result, I didn't react to it on camera, but I did have a fantastic time. I just couldn't take my eyes off of what was happening. I just wanted to know what was happening with every single episode, and this is really something that always happens. I feel like when I watch The Umbrella Academy, I watch it real quick because of how entertaining the show actually is, and I just wanted to share my thoughts with you on that. The one thing that I must say, like as an overall thing, is Victor just causes the apocalypse every single time. Like every single time. In season 1, she is the cause for the original apocalypse. In season 2, back in time, her losing control while being tortured causes the next apocalypse. And then season number 3, because she saved Harlan in season number 2, he ends up killing all of their parents, and as a result creates a cuckoo blitz because of the paradox of their existence within the modern time period. And I just found that very entertaining and interesting, that it's always Victor's actions or Vanya from season 1 or 2, and I just found it very weird, and I'm curious to know if they're going to continue on with that trope, or is it now that Hargreaves is in charge of everything, is he going to be the main antagonist? Especially because now, I mean, Victor doesn't even have powers anymore, so he's just like chilling like everyone else, right? It's not like they have the ability to cause any more problems. It's probably more going to be that they're going to find out something's happening, and all of the members of the family are going to have to come back together to figure out what's going on. Let's move back to the very beginning of the season. I got very carried away and started talking about the end, but specifically, let's start off with talking about the dance-off. This entire thing, right, it just reminded me of the idea that, like, you have that conversation between Peter Quill and Spider-Man about Footloose, about trying the dance-off to save the universe. I just really enjoyed that because it felt like it may have been a reference to that, but maybe not. Or maybe it was just coincidence. But regardless, I really enjoyed it. Also, the idea of how they incorporated it, right? It's that Diego is essentially having a trip in his head after one of the other members of the new academy shoot out her venom, and it kind of causes like a weird effect on people's brains where it causes them to hallucinate. I found that very entertaining, and the entire scene, like, I was very confused. I was like, are you telling me that the Sparrow Academy isn't a bunch of fighters? Do they just have a dance team? Like, what's going on here? And why are the Umbrellas like completely okay with this? Like, what is going on? Once everything was realized to actually just be a trance or a hallucination, I was laughing. It was great. It was so well done and so fun to see that entire scene. Now, I'm not going to talk about the specifics throughout every single episode, so let's just talk about more of the characters and the arcs that some of them went on. So first off, let's talk about Luther and Sloan, like the development of that relationship. I found it very interesting. I mean, it was very clear early on in that first episode that they were trying to create a relationship here, or a bond of some kind, where they would end up together by the end of the season. What I really liked was the fact that they're just both very similar in their characterizations. I mean, this is similar for a lot of the characters, that they have similarities with one another between the Sparrow and Umbrella Academies, but what I really enjoyed here is like these two characters are like the lovable airheads type of characters, and also the fact that they both just want to be happy, they want joy in their lives, and it's also something that they've both probably been struggling with all their life, right? Sloan has always felt like she wanted more than just like the team element of her family, and Luther has always just wanted those moments with with his family, that they're just like real family moments, they're just happy together and having a good time, which hasn't really been the case for majority of their life. And in that shared experience, that shared trauma, they end up meeting together and having similar experiences and getting to identify with one another and creating such a fun and energetic and bubbly and innocent relationship that I just really want to root for moving forward. The fact that Sloan does not come out of that elevator later on down the line is pissing me off, because if she does not remember him or if she doesn't exist, I'm going to be very, very angry, because they're just hurting Luther at that point. And also, I really, really liked Sloane's character in this season, and I really want to see more from her. It's clear that the Umbrellas are a lot more present in the show. I mean, majority of the Ravens end up dying by the end of the season, but the fact of the matter is Sloan and Ben are the ones that have more characterization associated with them, like more meat on them, because they're more involved in like having character moments. And what I will say though is like Luther is the one that we're following a bit more in the relationship, and the fact that we've seen him for the last 2 years with how he's acted and how he's kind of shifted his perspective here, where he's just like, guys, I want to have love. I want to live life. I want to be happy. Like, it's just such a nice change of pace from the Luther we see in season 1, where he's skeptical, trying to find out what's happening with Hargreaves' death, and he's like looking at his family members like, did one of you kill him? Season 2, he's just done with life and just depressed, and here he has that joy, that vibrance, like that reinvigoration of his soul, and I really, really want him to be happy in season 4. So I hope Sloan is present, because her character is also so fun to see. Let's talk about the character that I would say is essentially falling from grace this entire season, and that is Alisson. Season 1 and 2 had Alisson really be the character to tie everyone together, right? Like, even with her ability to talk to Vanya and try and make amends and things like that in season 1, and in season 2, how she was like going through the ringer, but also just trying to make the best of the situation. Like, things like that really, really made her very, very different from what we see in this season, right? Those elements are essentially dead and buried because Claire is gone, right? The reason she came to the future was because she would get to see her daughter again. Her daughter is gone, and she's just spiraling out of control to the point where she betrays her entire family, and it's partially her fault for Klaus and Luther's death, right? Because she ends up enabling Hargreaves' final plan, and as a result, her brothers die. And it's just very, very sad to see. Especially the moment that I think is damning beyond all else is when she uses her abilities on Luther. This was horrifying to me. Right? This is absolutely horrifying to me, because essentially she's saying, I am taking away your autonomy. I'm going to force you to feel things. I'm going to force you to do things that you do not want to do and have no say in. And that scene was uncomfortable, horrifying. And honestly, at that point, I was like, you know what? If Alisson gets killed this season, I would be okay with it. Like, I understand the horrors and trauma that she has gone through, but regardless of what you have gone through, it does not justify your own evil actions, right? That moment is truly horrifying and evil in my mind, right? That is the moment that Alisson becomes more villainous than any other. The closest in terms of villainy would be Vanya, and it's only because Vanya has ended the world twice before at this point, right? But the fact of the matter is that Alisson is more vindictive and cruel than anyone else in this season, in this show. Vanya has always used her powers in a reactionary manner, and yes, it all goes to crap, right? It's not good what ends up happening when she uses her abilities both times to end the world. It's not a good thing, but then again, she's not fully in control in those moments. She had so many issues growing up because of Hargreaves that her actions are a lot more understandable. But then again, it's not to say that Alisson's actions are completely without understanding, but it feels like the manner in which she goes about it is a lot more manipulative than any of the other characters in the show, which is why, to me, this show saw Alisson drop in terms of my popularity of all the characters in my brain. Let me know if you agree on that, because I am curious specifically about how people felt about Alisson this season. Now let's talk about Klaus and Hargreaves. I think that this is a dynamic that I was not expecting, but I absolutely loved. I mean, the nature in which the actor who played Hargreaves portrayed him this season was a lot more whimsical and childlike, but also he's the same guy that we've seen, right? He hasn't lived through some of the experiences, he hasn't done some of the things, but he's still the same monster that we saw 2 seasons ago and last season as well. I mean, he is capable of destroying everyone around him just to get what he wants, and as a result, like, you end up empathizing with him being medicated and everything for no reason. As soon as he is no longer medicated, right, he goes back to some of his old ways. He's slightly shifted in his ability or his mindset because of what he's gone through, but he's still the same person. He still manipulates Klaus in order to get him to have this connection with him, in order to have Klaus actually root for him and try to help him, only to backstab him. And also on top of that, he kills Luther. Like, how did they get us to empathize and like this man, only to pull a 180 and make us question our own ability to trust? Like, it is insane what they did with his character. And the idea that he spends most of the season identifying and helping Klaus, and also getting him to reach his full potential, getting him to become immortal, getting him to get over his fear of the dead, like, all of this seems to be leading up to a Hargreaves redemption, and they just throw it back in our face like you've been tricked and duped, and it hurts, right? And that is peak television right there. They did such a wonderful job with that. Also, again, with the fact that Klaus became immortal, I mean, I'm just thinking of Nathan from Misfits, I believe, right? Like, he's the same actor, right? And he also becomes immortal in this show. I just find that very, very entertaining to know that he's played 2 immortal characters in 2 different shows. I just found that very, very interesting, because in both shows, characters get superpowers for some unknown reason, and in both instances, he ends up being immortal. And in both cases, he doesn't know about his abilities for a long period of time. I just think the parallels are mind-boggling and very, very interesting. Yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. Now let's talk about the wedding, right? The wedding itself is one of the scenes that I just thought was very, very fun to see, right? It's in the middle of the apocalypse. Everything is destroyed, and yet the family chooses to find a time to just celebrate and be happy as the end is nigh, right? Let us have this few moments of joy. Let us move forward and just be happy for once in our lives. Let us just have some family time and do something that we actually want to do. Let's not throw our lives away just for the end of the world, for a mission that will probably get most of them killed anyway. I mean, I just found the wedding, the ceremony, like the fact that they had the bachelor party, that final moment looking up at Oblivion with everyone sitting together, I just thought it was so fun and well done. I mean, obviously you can say that it was a very, very fast-paced wedding. I mean, Sloan and Luther just met a few days ago, but at the same time, everything is ending. So I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. Like, I feel as though if everything in the universe was crumbling and it's just this one little block, this one little building left, and I wasn't married and I found someone that I really cared about, you know what? Why not get married? What's the problem there, right? You only have a few hours left to live anyway. Might as well go out having fun and with a banger right there. Like, it just makes sense within the context of the show, whereas like us in like our own real world are like, it's a little fast, but still, like, it's understandable to see where they're coming from. And like the character moments and everything in there, it's just fun to see. Obviously, we get to see more dancing and everything. Like, it's just always fun to see those types of things in this show. But obviously, this leads to the most horrifying and heartbreaking moment of the episode, which I've mentioned like twice now already, which is Hargreaves finally accepting Luther. But it is all a trick, or perhaps it is genuine, but like, he has a larger motive here, and that is to bring the family together. I'm getting chills just thinking about it, because it's like Hargreaves says, there are 2 ways to bring a family together, either at a wedding or a funeral. He tried the former, and now it's time for the latter. I mean, what? This is insane. It's so sad to see, because like, Luther is such a lovable character this season. He is probably one of my top 2 or top 3 characters alongside Klaus and Five. It is sad. It is so sad because he finally gets that validation from Hargreaves that he did a good job, that he is a worthy son, and it is all for naught because he gets stabbed by the very man that just affirmed his existence, and it's horrifying because he's now going to use the man that he killed for his own means. Now, let's skip over to the very end, right? The fighting sequences, like, I don't really need to talk about that. It's regular fight sequences for the Umbrella Academy, nothing too crazy, but what I will say is that I'm annoyed that Alisson gets her happy ending, right? She gets to probably keep her powers because she didn't run the machine or anything, so she probably still has her rumor ability. She has Claire, and she has Vincent. Right? I'm going to call him Vincent because I know he's Vincent from the originals. I'm just blanking on his actual name right now. But regardless, he's Vincent, okay? So the fact that she gets both of them, right? And she gets to live her happy life in the new world that exists out there, it just pisses me off because I'm like, you screwed over everyone around you. And if Sloan is dead or disappeared or not existing in this world because of what you did, you essentially just screwed over Luther yet again after you already violated him in the earlier episodes of this season. I am livid if that is the case, right? Like, it frustrates and pisses me off that Alisson actually gets her happy ending because at this point she doesn't deserve it. And similarly, you also have a similar situation with Hargreaves. He does very similar things. He throws away everyone around him just to get his wife back, and it's like, bro, I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but it does not justify any of the horrible things that you have done for decades on end. And you do not want either of these characters at the end to get their happy ending. They don't deserve it anymore. They have destroyed themselves, destroyed their morality to the point where it's like you cannot root for them. You don't want them to succeed anymore, and yet they do. And it's just sad because now the other Umbrellas are going to have to live with the fallout. Specifically, Luther. Right? I mean, that is the main character that is going to live with the fallout. He doesn't know what happened to his wife, and it's just sad to see. The final thing is obviously we get to see another version of Ben as well after all the Umbrellas break apart and move on to their own things, and I'm very curious to know what version of Ben is this going to be. Is this going to be a completely new version again? So are there going to be 2 versions of Ben next season? I have no idea. Let me know your thoughts on that below. That is all I have to say for this video. Let me know your thoughts on the video in the comments below. Did you like the video? If you did, please like the video as well, and subscribe for more videos from me on this channel. If you want me to talk a little bit more about specific episodes or specific things from the Umbrella Academy, just let me know and I'd probably make some TikToks about that. But yeah, that is all I have to say for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.